everyone, and this is BioPhoenix here, and today we're going to be taking a look at Front Mission 3 on the PlayStation 1. And this was a request by Nobeac. I think that's how you say it, but either way though, that is his YouTube channel's name. And there are two reasons why we're starting off with Front Mission 3. Well, obviously the first reason is because this was a request. And the second reason why is because the first two Front Mission games were only in Japan. Yeah, believe it or not, this was the very first Front Mission game to be released here, and it was called Front Mission 3. Yeah, a little bit confusing, I know. It's kind of like what they did with Final Fantasy, where they released 1, 2, and 3, and then when they released 7, they made a big jump. And speaking of which, this game was published and developed by Squaresoft, and was released in the year 2000 in North America. Now this is a tactical RPG, so meaning that this game is going to be really fucking long. Even though I love RPGs, one thing I have to admit is that making a review for an RPG game is really fucking hard. Now one main reason why it's hard is that it's really hard to explain the story without giving away any spoilers. So let's talk about the story, which I'll have to explain it best as I can without giving away anything. In Yokosuka, Japan in the year 2112, I wonder if they were inspired by the song 2112 by Rush. And there is a young man named Kazuki Takamura, and he works as a test pilot for a company that makes military Wanzers. In other words, Wanzers is the name of the mechs in this game. Kinda funny how when I did the video on the game Metalhead on the 32X, that game also involved mechs. But anyways, that's not that important. But then after when he was done his testings, he ended up joining up with his friend Ryugo to help out with a delivery to the Japanese Defense Force. And after that, a bunch of strange things have been happening, such as like a huge explosion, Kazuki's sister being kidnapped, and Wanzer Theft Auto. Now imagine that, using a mech in a Grand Theft Auto game. Now that would be pretty awesome, but however, that's not the point. So they think that Japan is going to be going into a war or something, so yeah, the basic story is along those lines, and I think that's enough for what I'm about to say, because I don't want to spoil anything else. But so far, from what I have played of this game, I actually do really like the story. I think it is pretty interesting. It also is a pretty different take on with an RPG, since most RPGs that I usually play happen to be like in the realm of fantasy, but at least with something like this, it does seem to be a little bit more realistic and storyline wise. Okay, well, other than the fact that mechs do not exist yet, or at least not that I know of, but other than that though, it does seem to be very logical though. Now as for the gameplay, like I said, it's a tactical RPG that is based on a grid in a 3D overhead view, and you can choose how you attack with either ranged or melee, which is actually pretty cool that you get options with that. But I do like that when you hit your enemy, you can actually damage like his parts such as like the arms, the legs, and the body. And when they are damaged, you cannot use that part. But if the body is destroyed, then it's all over for you. So of course, with a tactical RPG, you need to have strategy, and this game does that really well. And it's also cool to know that you can actually make your own mech in this game by taking other people's parts that you salvaged, but that is way later on in the game though. And this game does have two storylines, with different situations. Also, one last thing that I'll mention is that there are action points in this game, and what uses up the action points are even walking, shooting people, or using an item, and all that type of stuff. Since I know for most games that I have played personally, is that a lot of action points are usually used for like special attacks and whatnot, but for this game it's a little bit different. Not that I mind or anything, in fact I actually do find it interesting. Or if you really just wanted to, you can eject out of your mech. By doing so, you can hijack someone, but of course this is very risky since you can die easily when you're just walking around. So yes, there is a lot of science within this game, but that's just the way how the battles work. But between missions, not including cutscenes, you can explore the network, and what that is pretty much the internet in this game. So in the year 2112, this is what the internet will look like. And the whole point of the network is just to look up background information about what's going on within the city and the situation. But there are some clues that you can find within visiting random sites that can give you more like emails to respond to. Which is a good thing since you can get some money and some parts. And you can visit towns and bars and talk to people, which can also give you some clues on what to do next. So this is a really big story-driven game, which is pretty normal for an RPG, so that's all well and good. Now as for the controls in this game, they were good. I mean, I can't really say much. I mean, you're pretty much just selecting things all the time, so yeah, I don't really see how you can fuck that up, so either way, I think they're good. Now as for the graphics for this game, I think they're actually pretty good. I do like the CGI cutscenes in this game, they actually do look pretty damn cool. But there is nothing too much else to say, so overall, I actually do like the graphics myself. Now as for the music in this game, it's pretty awesome sounding. I find it suits the theme of the game, and some songs are actually kinda catchy. So there's not really a whole lot to say about that either, but either way though, the music is still really good. Now one thing I would like to mention with this game that is kinda funny, is that the character, Ryogo Kusama, is pretty fucking hilarious in this game. He always hits on the ladies with these really cheesy lines, which I always like in games. I don't know why, I always think those are funny. Especially when he says something, well, he does this face. You just can't take it seriously at all. Kinda like that one guy I knew named Dick McFuckward. Speaking of which, whatever the hell happened to him? Oh well, not like I give a shit. But one thing we know for sure is that Ryogo is better than that fucker. Now there is voice acting in this game, but not very much, and it's all in Japanese. But I thought I would at least note that though, because, well, at least it's there. And if you want to buy this game, it'll cost either around $10 to $20, which I think is a pretty good price. But of course, that's if you want to get the actual disc. Or you could get it on the PSN and get it for like $5, if you want to get a digital copy, that is. So at least there are some good options, and the game isn't very expensive either. And to me that is really good, since there are a lot of RPGs on this system that do happen to be a little bit like expensive. Now if I were to rate this game, I'd have to give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's a really good tactical RPG with an interesting concept, and this game is quite challenging as well, which is a great thing after all. And the fact that there are two different sides that you can take within this game makes this game have a lot of replay value. Now to be quite honest with you, I have not beat the game yet, but I am pretty far in the game, or at least I think I'm pretty far in the game. I'm far enough to know how the game works, so I don't even know what happens at the end of the game, but I still don't want to give away any spoilers since this is a game that I would like to have more people play and experience for themselves. Even for like a really shitty RPG that I've played, such as Yu-Gi-Oh! And the False-Bound Kingdoms, I still never gave away spoilers, even though I did say the game sucked. Where in this case, the game is good, so I definitely do not want to give spoilers. That's just how I am. So even if an RPG is good or bad, I still don't want to give away anything. So yes, Front Mission 3 is a really good game, and the first two Front Mission games were only on the Super Famicom, and you don't need to understand those to play this one, which is good. Now before I end this video, one thing I will mention is that, thank you for giving me the request. Now doing a review for an RPG game takes a lot of time. In fact, this game actually took me a while to actually get used to all like the functions and stuff. So yeah, it wasn't very easy, but I really do hope that I did bring out enough information for you guys to understand, so at least I tried, right? Now let's end this, so I hope you enjoyed this review, thanks for watching and commenting.